Welcome to GateCrashers, a podcast dedicated to kicking open the door to your next favorite thing. Our mission, our creed, and our code is this: to make all things nerdy more approachable and accessible to everyone. We want you to find a universe that you'll fall in love with. Today, I get to say a GateCrashers first, in that we are joined by a Tony Award winner actor and writer who you may know from his roles as Jacob Kowalski from the Fantastic Beasts franchise, Randy Daytona from Balls of Fury, and my personal favorite, Hutch from Fanboys. And from his comics work for series like Moon Lake, Brooklyn Gladiator, and Fishkill. Today I'm chatting with Dan Fogler. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you? Hey, we're two Daniels.
Two Dans. That's always a good show with it.
That is a good show. Double Dans.
I have to say, when I got this email from Kat, I was very excited, and I didn't I'm like, oh, he's done all this cool stuff. And I was like, fuck yeah, he's from Fanboys.
Yeah, a lot of people love that, Fanboys.
Yeah, that and Balls of Fury was like two of those films when I was young that were just on repeat.
Yeah, that was the whole plan.
Good. You got them hooked, and you got to just keeping them coming back.
That's right.
So I would rather talk about your comic stuff, which I got the chance to check out a bunch of it. But I don't know if you're too familiar with the comics world, but I am known as a pretty hard-hitting journalist, and I like to start our interviews with something pretty hard-hitting.
Oh, fuck.
I hope you're ready for it.
Yeah, sure.
What's your favorite sandwich?
Wow. Favorite sandwich? My word. That's hard. Mm-hmm. Let me think here for a second. My mind is saying hot, open turkey sandwich with all the fixins, like Thanksgiving style fixins, since it's almost Thanksgiving. I'm gonna go with that.
So like with the gravy and the stuffing and all that good stuff.
Fuck yeah.
That is a good sandwich. It's wet. It's a moist sandwich, but
yeah, that's what I like.
A man who loves a wet sandwich.
Exactly. The sandwich is open and you see exactly what's going on inside.
No mystery for you.
Nothing.
So have you always been into comics? Like what was your kind of gateway into all this?
Yeah, my gateway is okay. So my childhood, I grew up in the 80s. So that was basically filled with, lots of 80s awesomeness and comic books and toys and G.I. Joes and Transformers. And I was into all the figures and stuff. And then my older brother was a real comic book collector. He got me into it. And I was about 10 when I found Heavy Metal magazine. And I was like, wait a minute. And I picked it up because I was like, oh, this is oversized. This must have big pictures in it. And yeah. And then, like you said, how Fanboys and Balls of Fury was playing over and over and over again. For me, it was like Heavy Metal, the movie was like nonstop over and over and over again. And so that was like the first big influence. And then I got into like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles before, the whole Cowabunga dude craze. Like from the very beginning, I was into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I liked all the guys, and from there, like from Raphael, like all the guys who monologue to themselves while on rooftops, looking for danger, yeah. So Daredevil and Punisher and Wolverine and like that. There's a lot of guys like that, and I liked all the heroes that were around New York because that's where I grew up. And so that's basically how. And then I always followed my older brother. Like he had a crew that did Dungeons and Dragons, and then that became the Marvel game. I love the Marvel game, which is essentially Dungeons and Dragons with Marvel. Mm-hmm. And from there, it really encouraged you to create your own characters, to draw your character, and to create a backstory, and that's like everything. That's like the start of a comic book. That's the start of a movie. That's the start of creating an acting character that you're playing. So that was those times of creating new characters for those games were really, that was like the seeds for what I do now.
It's a very interesting way to get into all of it, especially with the. I don't think anyone's mentioned the Marvel game, like the. I don't remember the exact name, but I've seen the modules more recently for that. And it's such an interesting thing that I don't know if they've brought that back. Now, I got a chance to read through Moon Lake, and I was kind of captured by something in the intro where you talked about your inspirations for horror and things like that was more of a focus on like psychological, because you drew a lot of inspiration from Hitchcock.
Oh yeah, Go ahead.
What draws you to that kind of style of horror rather than like a slasher or a monster movie?
Okay, so that Moon Lake came out of around, I think it was like around 2000 and maybe let's say 10. I was approached to play a young Hitchcock in a movie called Number 13. Which never went anywhere, had a great cast, and the money fell through, and then that never happened. But in preparation for that, I was like, well, shit, I'm going to play a young Hitchcock. The movie was, like Shakespeare in Love. This was basically Hitchcock in Love. This was like that kind of movie. Mm-hmm. And where you see a young Hitchcock and you see where he gets the impetus for a lot of his ideas. And that movie starts out as he's making a comedy, and it's not working out, and he wants to kill his main actor. And there's a scene where you see Hitchcock's hands reach in to like choke the actor because he's not doing the lines right. And then when Hitchcock watches the scene back, he's like, wait a minute, I can turn this into a horror movie. And so that was that movie. And I thought, well, in preparation to make that movie, I got to make my own black and white horror movie. So I made a movie called Hysterical Psycho, which takes place, this was, back 2010, 2009, 2010, around there. So Hysterical Psycho was where Moon Lake was born, where a bunch of friends go to Moon Lake, which is this place up north near Canada that is like the island in Lost, or like the neighborhood that the Scarlet Witch creates. It's displaced from time, and it's a crossroads of many brands of evil. And it's so many brands of evil that it's hysterical. You have, all these different characters working alongside each other, werewolves and Dracula and Sasquatch, and they're all partnering up to fight, even larger forces of evil. And so when I made Hysterical Psycho, I said, hey, why don't I was like, okay, this is one tale that happened at Moon Lake. Why don't I can tell a bunch of tales. I can go back to prehistoric times and tell freaky tales that have happened at Moon Lake, and I can go all the way into the future. And so that's where the comic book series, that's where that idea came out of. And then now I'm like, I just came from a meeting where we're designing the characters for an animated show. And I'm just like, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm like a kid in a candy store. I'm just like, totally just so excited, man. That's my dream for someone who grew up running home from school to watch, Batman and G.I. Joe and Transformers and Saturday morning cartoons. Like, to have one of my comic books be turned into a cartoon is like,
it's a big deal.
It's huge.
So before we get more into Moon Lake, I just wanted to ask, because this makes you wonder who you are as a human being, is that you were going to get this role. Like, this role was something in your future. You were like, oh, I'll just write and make a horror movies just so I know how to do the thing. What possession, like as a person, do you do this often? Like, are you like extreme like that?
Yeah, I guess that is extreme. That's funny. I guess I am extreme like that, because I thought, oh my God, how old was I? I don't think I was even 30 yet. And I was like, I'm going to take on the origin of the master of suspense. Like, are you crazy? Like, I better know how to direct my version of a black and white movie. I mean, I better have, and so, yeah, I had to do that in order to feel confident enough to step on that set. Absolutely. That was my rehearsal.
Listen, I love that. Like reading that, I was like, damn, I love that energy this dude's bringing to anything he does. What you've done theater, you've done movies, but what was it like directing horror? Like for you, like, was the pacing different for something like that than say just like a musical or a play?
Well, the editor really like paced that what we did. That was like summer camp, freezing our balls off, but summer camp. We went to Maine. I took all my friends from college and we just had a blast, man. It was so rock and roll and so, just guerrilla style movie making. And yeah, I loved every fucking second of it. I had a smile on my face the whole time. It was like one of those things where it was my first endeavor, so it was like kind of blessed. It was just like everything just kind of worked out. It's like we got to the place that everyone was going to stay as the hotel. Just looked incredible as like the haunted house that we basically needed. So we're like, why don't we just shoot it here? And it's just like everything just kind of fell into place. And sometimes when you have like a first endeavor like that, when all you have are best intentions, just for the love of the game. Like that's what we were there for. All these people dragged themselves for the love of the game up in the middle of nowhere in a freaking forest. So that's when the universe like smiles on you. It's like, all right, we're not going to let any of these people like drown in the freaking frozen ocean here.
It's a positive.
Yeah.
I really love that energy. Like just doing the thing. Now,
yeah.
Moon Lake is kind of an extension of that and the stories that continue from there. And when you enter the book, you talk about how it's a lot of the fear of nature and those types of things. What made you want to tell stories exploring those types of angles about man versus nature?
Oh, wow. Wow. Good observation. I mean, I'm a city boy. I grew up on movies like Cujo, and like Stray Dogs and movies like Jaws, where I can't go into the ocean without a sharp rock in my hand. Yeah, I am scared of all of those things. The 80s and 90s did a wonderful job. Aliens, all those things that go bump in the night did a wonderful job of just freaking the shit out of me. And my personality is that I filter all that fear into how do we make that entertaining and fun? Like how do we make that just like what's my clown, recipe for this? And you always got to infuse humor in there. I think that's my way of, making it okay. It's I love Tales from the Crypt. I love heavy metal. When I watched Heavy Metal, the movie, I was like, I would love to watch a TV show like this. I hope they do that. And Moon Lake is that I'm making is, it's definitely its own thing, but it comes out of that love of that style of I love the idea that it is anthology and they're their own little stories. Twilight Zone stories back to back, but you had the Lochnar, which was the narrator who weaves itself throughout the stories as an object in some of the stories, and then becomes this. Whoa! It's not just an object. It's like a all knowing being. So I loved how that was all weaved together. So that's what Moon Lake was. The Man in the Moon weaves all of these freaky stories together that happen at Moon Lake. He's our narrator, and then characters from each of the stories pop up in other stories down the line until they all kind of team together. That's how the structure has been going so far. That's what I think the structure is going to be for the show.
So listen, you led me perfectly into my next question. We actually just got over a month of we did a horror month where we had our own horror host who took over the show and stuff like that. So we're all very inspired by the horror anthology and the idea of the horror host, which Man in the Moon is yours. What about this framework appealed to you, being able to tell multiple stories in an anthology with a connecting theme?
I got a lot of ideas. And I was like totally inspired by Heavy Metal, the movie. I was like, this is my version of a series where you have all these stories woven together. The Man in the Moon is totally an homage to Hitchcock. Like, what if Hitchcock was abducted and like forced to just to be a hostage on the moon for aliens, for the entertainment of aliens, and it's like, and I was like, and let's make him a little stir crazy and trying to escape, and like that became his own crazy character, and all because of that one assignment I gave myself to get into the head of Hitchcock. That's where the Man in the Moon came from. The Man in the Moon, man, just that idea, just hearing. That's mythology. That's our mythology. But I've never seen that before. Who is that guy? I never even seen that in the Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah, I don't think now that you say it, I don't think I cannot think of any time I've ever seen someone use the idea as a story.
Yeah. So there's something about tapping into that zeitgeist, the mystery of the moon itself. There's a lot of fucking questions about the moon, man.
Moon's haunted. That's what I hear.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues with the moon.
So, all right, I know Hitchcock is probably the answer, but who's your favorite horror host?
Oh, horror host. Oh, wow. I mean, if I have to answer from 10-year-old me, it's got to be the Crypt Keeper. I mean, that guy had me from day one. He was hysterical. He was freaky. He was a puppet. He was like that. He's ingrained in my mind. And then Elvira, is nice. I like her. From that perspective of a young lad enjoying her feminine form. Yeah, when I think of hosts, but Hitchcock was like the quintessential. That guy's fucking genius. Mm-hmm. That guy is an absolute genius. And then he's like, I'm going to do comedy now. And then each one of those intros is hysterical with his deadpan. It's like, whoa, it's like he's always wanted to be an actor, huh? Because if you follow his career, he was such a mystery. And then suddenly he does that show and then everyone's like, oh my God, they love him. Yeah, that's just genius. And then, the what is his name? The Creep Show, the Ghoul, the Creep Show
Ghoul. It's the Ghoul.
Yeah. I love that animated stuff.
Yeah. The recent stuff has been really good.
Yeah, what's the recent stuff? Like,
you've got Creep Shows back on Shudder with.
Yes, right, exactly. Yeah.
Who was Mark Hamill was in it last week?
Oh yeah. Well, I work with Greg Nicotero on The Walking Dead, and I'm just so happy. He's the guy to do it. He worked on the originals, and he's like a kid in a candy store making those movies, that show.
It's I have to say I'm very jealous of you for the Crypt Keeper, because I was born in 92, so I came in right as all that stuff was kind of going downhill, so I never really got to experience that kind of feeling until recently with Creep Show, but because the Crypt Keeper scared the living shit out of me as a little kid. Yeah, I know, right? I think it's the voice, and now I think he's absolutely hilarious, but it's not something that's readily available anymore. I had to keep reminding myself that he was a puppet, Yeah, he was so animated.
He's and late at night, past my bedtime, like Moon Lake is dedicated to all those shows. I stayed up past my bedtime. Amazing Stories, that was Spielberg's show around that time. There were some episodes that really freaked me out, man. Yeah.
My late night, the only story I've got for the late night is I when I was 6, I watched Scream, and in the same year I watched Rocky Horror. So that kind of explains why I'm fucked up. But
love Rocky Horror. Where's your what's your favorite sandwich?
My favorite sandwich?
Yeah.
So it's called, so it ended up being named after me because we used to go to this deli every Saturday morning after we would partake in too many alcoholic beverages on a Friday night. It was called the Big Daddy, and it was a chicken cutlet sandwich with cheddar, mozzarella, ranch, and barbecue. It was so much, but after a night of vivations and living the way I lived, it was great because you'd get it and you never had a hangover. Since then, the place has closed down, which sucks, but the Big Daddy is what it's called because that was my nickname in college.
I love it. Yeah. Can I take back my hot open turkey sandwich?
Yeah, you can have the Big Daddy.
I don't want that. I mean, it sounds delicious, but I just remembered a sandwich I had in college that I was like, I had that sandwich every day. I love that sandwich. And it was like a turkey club, but it had this ranch dressing on this baguette and with like, when I used to have bacon, stopped eating bacon, but there was something, if this guy remembers, he'll never remember. My God, I ate that sandwich every single day. No one will know. I mean, it sounds kind of plain, but if people were my taste buds right now, they'd understand.
Yep. If people with your taste buds, they would have a lot of questions. So, all right. Well, you're from New York. Do you like Reubens? Is that something you were into?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I like a good Reuben.
Because listen, every single comic creator that's come on has pretty much just been Reubens across the board. So I'm always excited when we have someone who doesn't say Reubens.
Oh, I'm what you would call a second bust artist.
So I didn't write any of these down, but you've been in The Walking Dead. How has that been as like a person? Like, do you have people come up to you more often? Like, what is that kind of world like?
Right. Yeah. So like, okay, so your thing is, I've been very fortunate to be involved in stuff that has gone like freaking global. So like Hutch in Fanboys, that's the Star Wars universe. Like, all right, awesome. Like I'm part of that universe in a derivative way now, which is amazing. So all those guys that dress up in cosplay, it's like they fucking love us. Like, I love that. And then I do Fantastic Beasts, and that's the Harry Potter universe. Holy shit. So that's global, man. That's around the world. You know, it's like, if I have just a mustache and my hair is short, they're like, I can't go anywhere. And for like the same thing, Walking Dead is a global thing, man. That is everywhere. And that's the other look. So like with the beard and the hair, and that's Luke. So that's like all my looks have been covered with the different franchises. It's hard to go somewhere where I don't. Yeah,
I didn't even think of that. You've done like a trifecta. Those are 3 big money, no whammy type series too. Like,
you know what's crazy is I do a show called The Goldbergs too, where I'm Uncle Marvin, and that is also like everywhere. So it's like I'm in the Philly area, so that one's like a big one that people love. Yeah. I'm very fortunate.
So back to this becoming a show, because
it's
a big deal. That's a really big fucking deal. Now I know you're excited about it, but do you feel any pressure with that as well? Like, are you afraid that people won't get it?
Yeah, I mean, there's always that kind of pressure, but I feel like I'm in good hands. The people who are the animators I know they're going to make it look good. I'm going to get a good team together. I'm going to get a good, good writing team, and the voice talent. Oh my God. I can't say anything, but it's teaming. Like I'm not exaggerating when I say that the top 10 people on the list have done iconic cartoon voices in your lifetime.
Damn. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Have they said a network, or is it not a thing yet?
Yeah, we haven't sold it yet. We're just making kind of the intro and the packaging and designing the characters, and but it's the company I'm with is Bardell, and they got a great track record. They do Rick and Morty and a lot of stuff you've heard of, and so I'm so happy to be just like surrounded by these professionals. It's amazing.
And with it being with a studio that's had so many different iconic shows, are you hoping that each story kind of brings its own unique style? Because it is an anthology. Are you hoping that you're going to be able to kind of experiment with looks and things like that with your show?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a unified look, and within the introduction of the different characters, you'll get a different, more in-depth feel for their specific universe. We'll definitely take risks and spend a little bit more money, in certain spots, but everyone's going to have their own, unified look. Kind of like how Rick and Morty, they all have their own, specific, they live in their own specific universe, but sometimes they'll go to a planet and it'll be CGI'd out of their minds, I hope to go there to be in moments where you open a door and we have moments where we can really expand the universe and blow people's minds. And this is a multi-dimensional show. And it's a big undertaking, but I just want to make a show that I am entertained by. I wanted to push the envelope as far as comedy goes. I want people to say, like you said, I've never seen someone put the man in the moon into action in this kind of way before. I want people to say that, like, oh, that's a mythological character, but I never, it's part of our zeitgeist and part of the classic, hero's journey, but I've never seen him used in quite this way before. And that's what the show's about. It's about tapping into that nostalgia that we're all like, we know these characters, but we haven't seen them used in this way before. And we certainly haven't seen them like paired up together as like in like buddy, situations. I'm excited to present it to the world, but there's a lot of pressure. There's so much great content out there.
Mm-hmm. Now, after reading a bunch of your comics, things like that, it seems if your specific brand of horror follows a similar vein that all good horror does, is that horror is horny. Now, will this kind of energy be brought to the screen? Like, are you going to keep in the nudity and all that kind of heavy metal style stuff?
Oh, yes. I think it's rated R. It speaks to our id. I think that just like, heavy metal is exciting, titillating, and in a Tarantino kind of packaging, it's chic, it's rock and roll. That's what we're going for.
Good. I'm glad it's being kept, because I feel like
it's Grindhouse, man. This is Grindhouse.
Good. Like I like the modern horror. Like I love the psychological stuff, but like I really just need some like Jason Voorhees killing like a bunch of horny teenagers sometimes. Like I just need some of that energy.
So my take on that, and R.H. Davis created this character together, which was, we created this character named, well, you should see Hysterical Psycho, because that was the original. That was my Jason Voorhees meets the Joker meets, Freddy. Like I just crammed all my favorites in there. He's like the slasher, but I'm very proud of this character named Desensitized Deidre, who she's the straight A student, beautiful cheerleader, perfect, graduates top of her class. And then she has the worst day of her life and just goes a little cuckoo and then gets hit by a supernatural bolt of lightning. And it unleashes this schizophrenic world in her mind where she sees and thinks that she's in this Looney Tunes, Alice in Wonderland, style universe, and everything she sees is, cartoons and sprinkles and ice cream. And she thinks that she's feeding, teddy bears, big lollipops and saying, "Do you like sprinkles, Mr. Munchichi?" And in reality, she's got like a brain saw, like pushing it into someone's face and wreaking havoc as this, psychotic killer, but saying sprinkly donut stuff. And I find that horrifying and hysterical. And when you when you jump into her POV, you see
the colors in her POV are incredible.
Yeah. Do you like that story?
I did. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's a specific panel in it where it's the man in the moon holding a stop sign that says censored. I fucking love stuff like that because I think it's so funny when it's like, no, you shouldn't even see this. It's that bad. And then you get like her breaking. The whole thing's awesome. I'm so excited to see it in animation because of the different, like the switch from her style to this. It's gritty, but it's like kind of cartoonish gritty. Like it is ultra violent, but my biggest hope for your project is that the Man in the Moon gets to peek in like he does in these kind of panels. Cause I think that is normally with these anthologies, we get our hosts at the beginning, at the end, but getting the pop through, it makes it a whole kind of lived in world. If that makes sense.
You like that, huh? Yeah.
Yes.
I think that there are some stories that, like that story where it can get like really very graphic and you need a little, joke in there. Mm-hmm. Certain stories he can do that. And I think that, but there will be some stories that are just standalone, scary as hell.
Yeah. When I first was looking at this project and I was looking at the covers and I was like, damn, this seems like I'd love to see Tim Seeley in this. And then I opened and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. He's here.
Yeah. I love Tim, man.
Yeah. Tim's awesome. He's one of our first guests. He's got that style. Now I do want to switch over for a minute about Brooklyn Gladiator because
sure.
It's kind of this near future dystopian hellscape. Is it a fear of yours? Is that where we're headed? Or were they?
Yeah, this is a cautionary tale. I mean, I took the headlines of what I thought could be dangerous to our future. And it was written right before Trump was coming into his presidency. So the idea of, oh my God, what if he gets the wall? And what if it's like, what if, and then there was a whole thing where it was like, what if they start building the wall and then they just surround America? And then what if they just keep on building up,
Yeah.
Like that notion. And what if, and then I just reading what they were doing with how artificial intelligence was getting just out of control, where you had all these stories about how they had to shut labs down because they tried to kill an artificial intelligence. It came back and created its own language and like tracked into a satellite. I was like, this is not good, And then there's a lot of stuff with nanite technology that I was like, whoa, that could get out of I was like, that could get out of control because they talked about like the whole gray goo like situation where there are just too many nanites and I was like, okay, so just that. That's like those three things. I was like, let's turn up the dial, see what happens in 2033. I was like, it's not very far away where these things will really shift our society. So I was like, what does that Brave New World look like? What is that what is my version of like a 1984 world? Because those are my influences. In high school, we were made to read 1984, and that just, shook me to the core. And then I was literally like 15 blocks away in New York when 9/11 happened. So just there's certain events that really like scarred my psyche, which are I have total fear, absolutely, about how we are on a slippery slope, toward this technocracy. And you look around now and it doesn't seem so far-fetched, does it?
No. What is it? The Boston, whatever the robot company is, like when everybody was sharing those videos of that little dog robot dancing, and I was like, you motherfuckers. You know that little fucker's going to be with the cops in a year or two.
Cyberdyne Systems.
Yeah. Look, guess who's fucking got this little robot now? The police. I'm like, God damn it. Every time.
Every time.
So scary.
He's all singing, "Stop me up."
Yeah. Fuck. What were like, other than your real life traumatic events, what were like coming?
Think about that. Start me up. You never stop. Like, oh God, don't start them up.
You can't turn it off. Once it knows you can't turn it off, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, what were, other than your real life events, what were some of the inspirations for this series? Because like,
oh yeah, like yes, absolutely.
Kind of had some dread feeling in here, and like
oh
some
my
like
God,
RoboCop
yeah.
and things like that.
Absolutely, on the money. It's my Matrix, Mad Max, Blade Runner, all those movies I love. Star Wars, he is John Miller. The hero is a kind of in the future, in 2033, he's getting through the system. He's navigating the system and surviving. And on the outside, he looks like this, he looks like Bruce Willis and Schwarzenegger had a baby, and he's in these like underground cage matches, having these death matches for money, and what's happening is that he's having these blossoming psychic abilities where he's having these. I always loved whenever I played the Marvel game, like I always chose astral projection. Like I always liked that. Like, Doctor Strange has the astral projection abilities. He's honing these abilities, so he's able to navigate the city and find all the nooks and crannies in his astral form, in his ghost form. He navigates the city and sees all the shortcuts around the scrutiny of all the cameras and the all-seeing eye that's constantly watching everyone. And then he's able to make money on the side and be like a Robin Hood and help people out in that way. And it's Escape from New York, where he's just like, I'm done. I'm getting, he saves up money just to buy a ticket for, $500,000 to get the hell out. That's the first volume. And then once he gets over the wall, once he gets out into Canada, I'll just say that he realizes that the rest of the world is very much mired in World War III, World War IV, very high tech war. And it's at the doorstep of America, and America has no clue.
Damn. Now, I also have heard and seen that you're looking to bring this to life at some point.
Yeah, there's a script written. It's fucking great. A lot of really cool people are signing on to be involved. And it's just a matter of getting the funds together, and that's coming together, man. Yeah, I want to make a movie out of it.
Are you looking to keep like that, the dirtiness of it? Like, are you trying to keep that grit of the world?
Yeah, whatever the hybrid version of the tactical, practical special effects and costumes and RoboCop kind of deliciousness, like the old school 90s and 80s movies. Yeah, I love that. It needs to feel like that. You need to feel that
anytime,
because that gives it the character,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anytime I can read something and like I feel like I'm watching RoboCop, I'm like, fucking love this, because RoboCop is one of those movies that, again, my youth just spent on repeat. Now, I have to ask this. I didn't want to have to talk about it in your acting stuff because I really wanted to concentrate on your comics, but you are playing Francis Ford Coppola in a series called The Offer. Now, you're from New York.
Yeah.
I was also raised in a very Italian household.
Okay.
What kind of pressure comes with that? Because like The Godfather, a few people have seen it. A couple people like that movie. So what do you feel about the role?
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's Francis Ford Coppola is a role of a lifetime. What an incredible, brilliant, eccentric, wild man of just a pioneer, and to be given listen, if you came to me and said like 2 years ago and said, "Hey man, you're going to play Francis Ford Coppola," I'd be like, "Are you out of your mind?" Like, I'd say, no. Before I play Belushi, like you're telling me I play Coppola before I play Kinnison, like before I play Belushi, like give me a break. I'm jumping. They're giving me the reins to Coppola. Are you freaking crazy? And I did the audition, and it's weird. I look like him. I wouldn't say that I would, but when I got the beard and put my hair to the side and glasses, I freaking look like the guy. And we both grew up in close, he's Queens and I'm Brooklyn, but my dad has an accent that he sounds like my dad, and I'm doing that. I'm like, that just feels very familiar to me. And talking with my hands, I do that. There's a lot of material out there.
That's why I'm sometimes glad I keep the camera off, because I do talk with my hands the entire time.
It's hard not to, and he's so passionate, and I understand that. I understand now that the preparation for Hitchcock was actually the preparation for this. And I directed another movie called Don Peyote, which is it's very Coppola-y. And not anywhere near his genius, but like you saw when if you watch it and you'd be like, oh, this would be like something Coppola would make in college or something. But I feel a real connection to him. I'm finding that where The Offer is about Coppola trying to prove himself. Oh, it's not about that, but that's where he is in where you find him. That's his arc for me. He's kind of in, it's great to see these people who are in, you basically see the making of The Godfather, how it was made, the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. And you see everybody, like Coppola is at a point in his career where he's got to fucking prove himself. Pacino is at a point in his career where he's got to prove himself. Even Brando, everybody is like, they're brilliant, but they're all at a point in their career where they, it's now or never. And everyone's there for the love of the game. Like they made that movie for just enough money. And you see the trials and tribulations, and it's like anybody who didn't have that supernatural amount of passion wouldn't be able to, go to distance. Yeah.
Now, for the foreword for Moon Lake was written by Kevin Smith, and I had to read it a couple times because I love reading someone famous talking about someone else famous, but there's the way he describes you as someone who's pretty much accomplished most of their dreams, but you keep going. And I think his exact words were Dan fucking Fogler. That's who. And I want to ask, because like you've started movies, TV, you've written plays, you've been on Broadway, and you've done all these comics. You've done so much. Is there any other mountains you want to conquer? Other things that you have not done yet? And like, there's always going to be more to do, but is there any medium or something you haven't gotten to touch yet that you're looking to get into?
Oh, I'd like to get through all of my projects here and all the comics and get them to a point where they're living as their own, entities, their own. Like, that's my dream, is to make these, like Brooklyn Gladiator its own franchise, Moon Lake its own franchise. I have this other book called Fish Kill, which is the prequel to Brooklyn Gladiator, which is about now. And I want all these things to go on and spin off, and I want all the characters in Moon Lake to have their own, spin-offs, and it's really like a mothership for all of these different characters. And to have my own kind of Marvel universe or something, anti-hero Marvel universe.
What it's the name of the folder, Fogler's Fictions.
Fogler's Fictions, my own Fogler's Fictions, yeah. And my own brand, and that's the idea. And once I get to there, like I got a lot of things I'd love to try. There's definitely where I want to go places with my acting. I'm getting to go, giving the chance to play Coppola is a huge step in the right direction. I hope to be able to play more dramatic characters and work with more dynamic, directors that I've always wanted to work with. I hope I get to meet, like I got to talk to Jimmy Caan as a little preparation for this. I sought him out and I called him, and that was great. I hope I get to meet Coppola. I hope I get to.
It is interesting to play someone who's still alive.
Yeah, I mean, it's nerve-wracking, but I hope he likes my performance.
Yeah.
I hope I get his blessing. It's big. It's everyone.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, it's huge, man. All the guys that are playing people who are iconic or still alive, they got a lot of pressure. And The Godfather itself, I mean, that's like we really got to do a great job. And I'm having such a great time making the show. I'm just having a blast, and the pressure has been relieved in the sense that, we have directors come on and they see the dailies and they see the scenes starting to be cut together, and they tell me that, hey man, it's great. It seems like we're watching Coppola, and that's, great. If they're happy, I'm happy.
Yeah. As long as that's good, then you're good. Now, before I let you go, I do have to ask another pretty hard-hitting question. If you had a Rube Goldberg machine, what would it do?
Oh, wow. Yeah. See, to tie everything together, it would make that sandwich that I love.
There you go. You got to finish where you start. Yeah.
Right. That's what we call as a callback in the improv world. But has anyone ever done that? Connected the sandwich to the Rube Goldberg?
I cannot. Honestly, I can't recall. I think the wildest one we got is Ram V, who writes Swamp Thing and a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Turned it into a singularity.
Ooh, that's freaky.
Yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, my brain, I'm not a doctor. I can't handle all this.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something. My Rube Goldberg device, is like a hadron collider. It opens up portals. It creates singularities. And then fractally opens those and then turns it into a bong and then turns it back again, feeds your cat. Like, I think I just went up to him.
Yeah, no one's ever said bong too, so that's a first for our show.
Really?
Yeah, it hasn't come up, honestly.
You're kidding.
Nope. No, I don't think once.
Well, there's a first for everything.
Yeah, I mean, legalize it. I'm all for it. We just, no one's ever wanted to talk about it. So,
isn't it legalized? It is.
For Jersey, it is.
Are you in Jersey right now?
So I'm like 5 minutes outside of Philly. So it's Jersey. Yeah, it's
yeah.
They legalized it, but like you can't get it.
Oh.
I honestly don't really know where it's at. I don't know where it's at in our state.
A lot of benefits.
Yeah, it's a huge that's a lot of like,
we have a character that's a huge ripoff of the Swamp Thing that's called the Marijuana Man. And you can imagine what he's made of.
We wrote an article recently where I referred to marijuana as Swamp Thing's lettuce instead of the devil's lettuce. So
very good.
Yeah, it's a good one. But seriously, thank you for coming. This was incredible. The volume 2 of Moon Lake will be out on December 7th.
Yes, thank God.
Yeah. And then volume 3 is set to come out on in
I think it's
March 8th.
March 9th or something. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
March 8th. It says 3/8 and I just like, oh shit, what does 3 mean? Again, no one's ever said I was smart. I'm just I've got the looks and I've got the personality, and that's all it really takes in this business.
3 is the magic number.
Dan, thank you so much. You can find us at GateCrashers.fan and on all social media at GateCrashersPod.
The GateCrashers.